So we're going to go over my goals, and hopefully I can catch you guys up on everything I'm doing and see if we can get a plan to have some of this stuff finish here in this year 2021. And so I'm just going to run through it all. I usually do this every 6 months to a year just to keep myself accountable and gauge how long it's going to take to finish each project. So you're going to be with me when I finish my first project, like really finish it. I did a Kickstarter and I finished that, but it didn't fund, so we didn't see that one all the way through. But the book I'm going to finish. So yeah, let's start with Drasca. Let's do it. Okay. So all the projects I have with Drasca are going to be here. And this is what's going to take up my time over the next few months. So we'll do it by priority right now. Priority is book 1. Okay, so book 1 is in final edit. And we've got about 95% of the artwork done. And usually when I do a cleanup pass, well, I mean, this will be the first time I've done it, but when I've done it before in preparation for editors, it takes me, for 20,000 words, 20 hours. So I've got, so for the final, I've got 20 hours of editing left with this. And then once I finish that, I'm going to send it out to copy editing. I'm going to work with Ricardo as my artist. We're going to work on, I think there's one chapter left on this that we got to add one art piece. And let's see what else we got. Okay, so once we do this, then it's on to that copy edit, which I am not doing. I have somebody who can do that. And then we're going to go on to, once the copy edit's done, formatting. We got to format it for we're going to do ebook and soft cover through, I think we're going to use Ingram Spark this time. I've heard a lot of good things about it, and I know it might be a little bit easier to go through Amazon, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when we get there. We'll see how everything's working out and stuff. I've seen people's work come from Amazon, and then I've seen Ingram Spark stuff. And honestly, I like the quality of Ingram Spark better. So I know I'm going to try to get used to shooting. I got 2 cameras going right now. So all right. So here we go. So this will probably take 3 days. Once I send it, this is going to take 3 days. Once we draft the idea, I have no idea how long formatting is going to take for this, because this can be quite meticulous from everyone I've heard from, and so that's the next thing we're going to do. And then after that, we've got copywriting. Copyright for the book. That includes the work and the artwork inside. Okay. And then we have the ISBNs, which I could probably do now. I'm just writing all these down so you can kind of follow along with me and everything. Let's see, hold on just a second. If there's anything else. I mean, I got to do a couple things like an author bio. So we'll just throw it up there. Author bio. Some of the other excerpts. Some of the different pages you might find in a book, like the dedication page and all that. So we'll just put and other stuff. That shouldn't take me too long. Maybe a day or two to kind of put those together and have them edited. So once we get all this together, and obviously, yeah, now that I think about it, I gotta have this done before I get the formatting. I really have to have everything done in the book before formatting. So when formatting's done, we can go straight to copyright and all that stuff. And I'll actually need the ISBNs as well before then. So, okay. So once we get it formatted and we send it in, I can have proof sent out. Where I can buy off on the work, because I'm almost there. 10 years to get to this point. So I'm excited to finish the first one. And it's not a big, long novel. I mean, it's middle grade, but I'm excited nonetheless. So let's see what else. So let's call that for book one. This is kind of where I'm at. The whole process of a book is much longer, and we'll get to that right now. So book two, where I'm at right now, this is for just for Drasca. So I am on the creative writing phase. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I'm going through a bunch of different ideas on how the story's going to, arc over the series of books and then each individual book. So I'm 4 chapters into the first draft. And I have, we'll call it 7 to go. I write maybe on a good day 2 to 3 pages an hour, but we'll call it 2. So 2 pages an hour. I can usually do a chapter a day. More than that, I'm burnt out and I won't write the next day probably. But we'll just call it 1 chapter per day. I usually don't like to stop in the middle of a chapter or stop like after the first few pages, whether it's been a couple hours or not, just because I want to capture the whole idea of that chapter and I don't want to lose it. And as I'm writing these, every chapter, so kind of the hard thing with me is I don't write the whole thing through and then go back and edit it, because when I do that, I change so much. So what I do is I write chapter 1, write chapter 2. When I'm writing chapter 3, I'm also editing 1 and 2. When I write chapter 4, I do the same thing, 1, 2, and 3 to 4. Because as I'm writing each chapter, things are changing and I have to keep it all cohesive. So I'm not, changing the characters too much, like especially my books, because they have a lot of characters. And that's been one of the critiques of my editors, is like slim down the cast. But I like the challenge and I'm getting better every day I do it. And honestly, like every time I send out my work, have editors look at it and then they beat me up, I look at their edits and I look at their, valid points, and I try to figure out how I can improve it while also staying who I am. Like not completely conforming to everything that, they've learned in their life or maybe they've been taught, whether it was school or someone else taught them certain things, or it could just be their reading style, what they like in a book. So I've gotten a lot of good stuff from editors, and it's pushed me to become a better writer. And like I've said, this is 10 years in the making. So 10 years to get to self-publish a book. So this is where I'm at on this project. Book, I don't even know that I'm writing down, but book 3 through, we'll just call it 3+. There's still ideas. I have an idea how the story ends, how it, for this series, it's not the whole Drasca story, it's just this series. But, so we got this, I think that's good for now with book 2, because I still need to write it. And then we'll put book 3+ here. And we'll just say, what's a good word? We'll just call it idle, because that's what it is. Idle. All right. So I have this, and then so now let's get to the website and social media. because as I'm writing these books, I'm also going to be expanding upon the lore of Drasca as it comes to me and with what I've already written. So the website, I'm going to have a blog where probably with everything else I'm doing right now, I might be able to get out one piece a month. I know I can put out more than that, but it takes away from everything else I'm doing. So one piece, so it'll basically be like a chapter a month of, what's a book that does this? I mean, the Stormlight Archive does it, where they kind of go back and forth in time. But I really want to write an adult version of Drasca. So as you're reading the books, you know, to your kids, or your kids are reading it, you can also kind of follow along during the time period that they're there. And you get to see, you know, the battles fought and the different politics of the, you know, the land, and just kind of experience Espar in a different way, because I want you to have that background, so when you play the games, you, I don't know, can relate with it and enjoy it more. I know when I was watching, me and my brothers, we watched Game of Thrones, like season 1 and 2, and they had this Game of Thrones board game come out, and it was just fun to know kind of some of the backstory and play the game, because you kind of relate with, you know, maybe one of the houses, or, you know, whatever. But so we got a blog that I'm going to be doing. The website as a whole still needs a lot of work. It's a lot of content I need to write still, and all that stuff takes time. So we got the blog, so we'll call it one post a month, and this will be story continuation. And you may ask me, why don't you just write a book about this and then put it out? Because it'll probably be 5 years before I put that book out. And if I can put out a chapter a month and it's free and you get to experience the story, you know, honestly, if I didn't have another epic that I really want to finish, then I might do that. But when we get to the other paper, I'll show you what I'm working on over there. So we're gonna do one blog post a month. We're gonna be, I know we're gonna be posting a lot of updates with book 1, like spoilers, spoilers, and I guess it covers images and text and all that kind of stuff. So all that's going to come out, you know, on social media. I'll probably have my wife help me with that. What else we got? I'm gonna come back to this because I'm kind of spacing a little bit because I'm moving forward into the next part. And you know what? Before we can even get to my main epic that's completely outside of Drasca, we got to get to the games because I want to finish those too. So we're gonna put August 15th, 2021 up here, and you know what'll be cool is you're gonna watch this video maybe 6 months, a year from now, because you're gonna be watching my update 6 months or a year from now, and you're gonna go, holy, this guy works quick, because I am a driven mother, man. I'm not a mother, I'm a father, but you know what I mean. So let's go to this one. So we're gonna go games. So I've got Drasca. Drasca was the first game I made, and Drasca plays similarly to Risk and some other games like Catan and stuff. So it's very different. Once you guys check it out, you're gonna enjoy it, I know it, but we're still working on some of the structural parts of the game. It did change a lot. The game did change a lot since when I first made it, but let's just call it, so Drasca, most of the art, so we'll call it 75% of the art is done. The original version was going to be like a sci-fi fantasy style, so it was, you know, hardcore art. This kind of artwork from the map to the cards to the images of the knights. And when my knight count expanded to 21, I couldn't afford to keep going with those. So I got the 7 original knights up there. So we're going to say art's 75% complete. The game needs to be tested for sure with the changes that I put in. The original version was much more basic, and the few changes I needed to make were easy, and it played great. 2 to 7 players. So we're gonna say structurally we're at, I'm just gonna call it 50% because I don't know what's gonna change there. Everything, you know, from the instructions to the cards and all that, it's already written, it's already ready to go to be tested, but I mean, we won't know until we test it how much more work it's going to be to change up the, you know, text on the cards, how things are phrased, how the game plays. So we're going to call that 50% structurally. And then what else? I don't know that I'm going to put anything like in terms of marketing. So, because all this is going to be marketing. Like, I spent a ton of money on marketing the Kickstarter I did. So for Drasca Dave, which is the game that kind of came from this one. So when I realized that the game I was creating was not doing what I wanted it to, which was be a game that I could play with my kids and enjoy, I took all of the good from Drasca and I kind of I don't know if compressed it is a good word, but I changed it so that, you know, the artworks, we'll call it 100%. The structurally, we're going to call it 90%. It should get tested more, but you're not going to have issues playing the game. And I have manufacturing, so I guess I will go up there, set up for this, but there's still, we'll call this 80%. There's still questions I have, and there's still steps within that whole thing to figure out. I didn't realize how, like, it's a process to get a game made, you know, between all the stuff that I'm doing, which is, you know, designing the game and getting the artwork done and kind of putting a little story behind it, and it's become a bigger story. But then you make the game, you fund the, you know, production of the game, and then you're having to get it tested when it comes in so that, you know, you don't have any materials that could choke a kid or kill a kid or whatever. It's really expensive here and there, and it's like, well, who do I use and how am I going to do this successfully so I'm not broke just trying to recoup my money over the next 3 years with this game. So that's why a lot of people do Kickstarter or, you know, crowdfunding, because I mean, you could be 10,000, 50,000, 100,000 in the hole and never see that money come back, you know, if you try to do this on your own, which is why, I don't know, more people don't do it. Don't just go out and do it. I thought about it, but I'm like, put myself in more debt. I got enough student loan debt right now to deal with. Have to worry about more. So we got Drasca Race to the Isle. We've got Drasca Dice, which is really fun. It's it reminds me, well, it's a lot like Liar's Dice if you've ever played Liar's Dice. So the game came out of that, but the game was built for a party game I designed for Liar's Dice several years ago for my brother's bachelor party. So he wanted something special for his bachelor party. We ended up staying in, and we basically rented my parents' house, and we had it for the weekend. And we set up, because they had a big open kitchen that was in the dining room too. So it was this big open area. We set up multiple tables. We got probably like 100 dice, and I built this party game, and we had like 15, 20 guys at this party. It was a blast, and we played that game for probably like 3 hours, and everybody wanted to play it again. But it was a good time. So, anyways, Drasca Dave was born out of this. So, I guess this is a thought to creators: is, man, keep notes of things that come to you, or sparks of ideas. Not every idea has to be a home run. Not every idea is going to grow into something epic like Drasca has become. But those little things that were really cool or really fun, that a few people got to experience, could become something that weaves its way into one of your creations. And that's Drasca Dave and the whole, we'll call it Walk the Plank now. It'll have a new name. But, so Drasca Dave, we're going to call that one, I want to say it's complete, but we're going to call it 90%, because the way I did the dice and the new rolls and stuff, it would take some learning, and which would make the party game a little more involved. So we're going to call that one 90%. We'll say 90% of the art's complete, 90% of the structure is complete. And then manufacturing won't be hard for this because it's just dice. And then we might do some some cool chests or stuff, but it'll all be aftermarket stuff that we have. Maybe people we get, I don't know. So there's there's a lot that goes into this. Okay, so anyways, we have Drasca card games. So there's 2 card games that I've come up with over the years that weaved its way into this story, and I won't really go into those, but those are still very much in work. They are not ready for consumption, so we will call them at 50%. We'll call it 30 to 50, because one of them I just created about 6 months ago. So, and the artwork, we'll call that 10%. Art and structure. Okay, so what else we got? So this is the games. So just so you all know, Drasca was a story I told my kids one night several years ago, and I completely forgot about it. And it came back when I was needing a break from writing my epic, and it came back in the form of a game. I'm like, well, that story was cool, as I'm coming up with, Drasca the game. And I'm like, that story was cool. I like the premise of it, but I really want to make a game that me and my kids would love to play, like board games, so we can get off all the screens and off, just everything else that takes our time. And I wanted to connect with them on a different level, something that I used to do with my brothers. Basically, I was the oldest, and I was home a lot with my brothers, my sister, our cousins. We had neighbor boys that were always over, so we had a full house growing up, and we were always playing games together, whether it was board games, video games, or whatever. And I loved how close we all were, and I want that with my kids, because I see with how busy I get and all the craziness in life, everybody needs something, and trying to do everything right, trying to find that time to really connect with my kids, and each of them being so different. There's 5 of them in different ages, and they're still all so young, and what's hard for me is I'm already ready to play with them, and whether it's Legos or something more advanced. I was playing with Legos with my oldest, Ronan, when he was 4, and he had no idea what was going on, but he was enjoying hanging out with Dad as Dad was getting frustrated trying to make this big airplane or whatever. So anyways, I digress. So Drasca, we'll leave this here for now, like this, and I am going to add one more sheet over it, and I'll move it if I need to come back to this, because I want to show you guys what else I'm working on. So let's put this on right here for now, and then I'm going to move it over because I just don't know if I'm capturing the whole thing right now. So We're gonna call this BOD, Bo. This was the original name I had for it. I changed, but we're just gonna use this because when it comes out, I'm gonna do a title release and all that. So this book has been in the work since 2011. The ideas for the book started a little earlier than that, but when I really decided I'm going to write for a living, I want to do this, way before I could afford it, way before any of that. I'm like, man, if there's one thing I'd love to do is write. After college, I actually started during college. During my last year, I was so sick of writing papers for things I didn't care about and reading books I did not care about and all this stuff. I remember one Saturday, I'm just like, screw it, man. I'm just gonna creatively write the rest of the day. And I did. And I started BOE. So BOE progressed. I was a terrible writer when it started. And, going back, we all are terrible writers when we start. But I was exceptionally terrible. And it took me about 2 years. So we'll call it, by 2013, I had the first, we'll call it 3/4 of the book written, and that was the first draft. Okay. By 2014, I had finished the first draft. Okay. So, but during this time I was working 2 full-time jobs, and I was exhausted beyond. I had 1 child, I had the second on the way, and going into 2015 to, we'll call it 2016, I took a lot of time off from the book just because, like I said, I was working crazy hours, and I think I got halfway through the second draft. I'm just catching you up on this project because it's a thing that started my whole creative journey. So, second draft, about halfway done. At the end of 2016 to 2017, I had completed my third draft. Okay. By the end of 2017, my third draft was complete. And by the time my third draft was complete, I started to solicit editors. I had no idea who was going to edit my books. I had no idea what to do. And I just started searching the internet, and I found a couple people, tried them out, and got a lot of good feedback, and started my learning journey for writing. So 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021 current. So 2018, I think I did 3 drafts. I worked like a madman. I did draft 4 through 6. Okay. And the book went from, I believe, 80,000 words to, I think it was like 160. And that was a crazy year. I also lost my grandfather in that year, and it was a hard year, which is probably why I wrote so much. But 2019, 2018, no, okay, hold on, let me pull you back. I remember now, okay. Because I am on the 8th draft. This is 8. I'm so sorry. All the years start to blend. 6 to 8. Okay, so this would have been my 5th draft. And this I remember this one took me forever. Because, okay, so what I remember now is this is not right. I finished my first draft 2014. I started the second draft. And this is more for me too, to remember exactly. The second draft. Okay. But when I say first and second, it was like the book went from, I think, 40,000 words to 60. And then this, I did do the, we'll call it the third and fourth draft, because this is when, fourth. This is when I actually took the book and I broke it in half and I started working on it separately. But I didn't spend a lot of time on it in these 2 years, just because I was working a lot these 2 years. So the book got to 80,000 words, but it was broken into 40-ish and 40-ish into 2 books, and then I recombined it to finish the 5th draft. And this was the big one that led into these. So that's roughly right. That whole time period from 2013, when I took the second job, to 2016 was a blur. But I got that book going. I didn't stop it. So that was there. So what happened here? So 8th draft is complete, but I knew I needed to make a huge structural edit. Okay. And I knew that this structural edit is probably going to take 4 months minimum, 4 months of at minimum 30 hours a week, which means I sleep less. So I was putting that off because I had just come out of 2 heavy edits, and this is the time period where I went, I lost my grandpa and stuff, and I just went, I need a break. Took a couple weeks off. Drasca started, and I went with that. And 2019, 2020, wash. I didn't do jack crap on the book for those 2 years. And so far into 2021, I've just looked at it. I've done some minor work to some of the characters. And I also, I did a brainstorm where I was, when I say brainstorm, I'm not talking about like the brainstorm like they teach you in school, or that you might find on when I do brainstorm, it's literally like all, I don't know, maybe it's the same thing, but I will just, I get an idea and I run, and I follow that idea wherever it goes, and they come to me usually when I jump on the treadmill. So hopefully we're catching all this, and I'm talking loud enough so you can hear me. But the whole structure of the story of the arc is changing, and so I said I wanted to start this by October of this year. Okay. So I want to start this structural edit in 2021. I don't want to wait till 2022. So I'm going to say mid-October, structure edit. So mid-October, structural edit. I'm going to start my epic again, and if I do that, so this is where the planning comes in. If I do this, I will finish this structural edit with everything else I'm doing, this is going to take priority. So Drasca book 1's taking priority, but with this, I can probably, we'll call it March. So 2022 March deadline to get the book to structural editor. So I'm going to send my revised book to a structural editor, and that will probably take 6 weeks. So I'm going to put 6 weeks here. So that puts us like mid-May, getting it back. And what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to take all of this that I'm putting together and everything else in my life, and I'm going to waterfall it on an Excel sheet so you can kind of see how I envision it. Now, I don't try to, I'm very like seat of my pants, I move. So if I get creative on this side or that side, I'll jump and I'll start writing or doing something on like this is my hoped time frame, but I'm going to waterfall it so you can kind of see what I see in terms of completing everything. And I'll post that up and I'll build it and I'll show you how to do that on a later video. But my goal, my plan is to have that structural edit done. So we'll call it June of 2022. I'm writing again and doing another structural edit. So by 2022, June, July, August, we'll call it September. September, I will have it back to structural, or just, and actually, you know, let's call this developmental. We'll call this developmental. That's all I need. Developmental edit, and then we're going to do a structural edit, which puts me into October, November. So I'm getting this back by December, and I'll probably read through it in December. I probably won't do a lot of editing in December. So we're going to call 2023 is going to be the year of finishing this monster of a book. So right now, I think I'm at, I'll put the words up on the thing like this. So how many words I'm at right now for this book. And it's a monster to go back and through because most of it's created, most of it's made up. So making sure that everything's consistent is a challenge. But I call it, let's call it April. April, I want it to final editor, and after the final editor, we'll call it May, June, July. We'll call it July. I want it to a copy editor. Okay, and during this process, I'm going to be having I'm going to be doing all the stuff I had to do for this, which is like the artwork, any artwork I'm doing, any cover art and all that kind of stuff needs to be done by the time this thing is ready. So July, August, we'll call it September. To let's say by September, I want it complete. September, we're gonna have this thing, this monster of a book I've been writing for so long, completed. Whew. All right, man. September, we're complete. Let's say we launch it in November or December of 2023. Okay, let's do that. All right, BOE, you are getting put aside for a minute so I can jump on to the next thing. You guys are going to be exhausted with me in a minute here. All right, we're going to put you over here because you are a monster. All right, we're going to jump back over here. So what I'll need to do is get this guy done. Then I'm gonna be writing these books. So while I'm doing all that from this year to 2023 and getting that first book out, I also plan to have 2 of these books put out per year. So we'll go 2021 is book 1. Okay, 2022 book 2 and 3. 2023, I'm going to be releasing 3 books. Book 4 and 5. Okay, that's my goal. All right. And I haven't decided how many books we're gonna go in the Drascaverse yet, but we'll use this for now. All right. So, what happens after I release book one? When I release book one, I'm going to gravitate back toward the games, and I'm going to do what I can to get them near completion, near ready to get more prototypes ready to send out and have them tested. And honestly, once we get them all tested and everything's straight, I mean, I'm gonna shoot to doing another Kickstarter. That took a lot to do, that Kickstarter. We might go for it, we'll see. Me and my partners, my wife, my buddy Ricardo, my artist, and we're gonna see what we can do. But in all honesty, I probably can't handle the manufacturing process by myself, so I have manufacturers that will handle everything for me in terms of, you know, making sure everything fits and putting it all together. I get them all the art, the formatting, everything, and you know, they print it and they ship it to you, kind of a thing. You know, I have people that can do that, contacts that I've made. But yeah, I need to focus on being a creator and not an everything man, because when I get to being an everything man, all this other stuff takes a sideline. So yeah, so what are we gonna do then? Here's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say 2021 is the year of the book. 2022 is gonna be the year of 2 more books, and I really, 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 really want to get one of these out. So we're gonna say 2022 1 plus. So we're gonna say 1 or both. I want them done, and I want them going. So it could be the end of 22, but one of them I want to get finished. So in terms of priorities, priority 1 is getting book 1 out. Next year 2 and 3 are gonna come out, and honestly, depending on the success of 1, 2, and 3, it's gonna give me a real good gauge of where I need to focus my efforts. Because if it's, you know, it's not landing and it's not really doing much, it's just kind of, you know, flatlining, then my games will probably take a moment, like a breather, and they may get pushed back to 2023, 2024, as I'm focusing all my efforts getting that book published. And you may say, what if all your books are failures? And I will tell you this, I'm gonna keep writing. So, all right, that's about it for the creative stuff. All right, guys, so we went over all the stuff I'm doing, but I forgot a couple things, because me and my artist Ricardo like to take what we make and then see if we can branch it out into something new. So one thing I always wanted to do was do a little like cartoon for Drasca when we were going to do the release for the Kickstarter, but the cost of that was crazy and the time involved in it. So what we decided to do instead was make a comic book. So we have the, should I put it over there? Let's put it over here. So I have the Drasca comic, and the comic just kind of details little fun ideas I have about certain characters, or like, it's really supposed to kind of like back up the gameplay. So I mean, I think it's funny, and it's, you know, it's kind of fun for me and Ricardo to play with different art styles and different storylines. So that one is available. I think we're working on putting it into PDF form right now. It's not super long, but yeah, it follows the story or the gameplay of the Red Knight and Dooley. Dooley's the character that is very like all over the board and stuff in Race to the Isle, and I based him off me because I was a chubby blonde kid, and yeah, I had an old man in my life that kicked my butt and helped me become a man. So yeah, so that's the inspiration for Dooley. So we'll get back to that in a second. Right now we're gonna go also into some of the other stuff we're doing. So we're doing we're taking all the art that we're doing for Drasca, and we're making it into coloring books as well. So that coloring book was going to come with the Race to the Owl in the release of the Kickstarter, but we're just going to keep adding to it, and shoot, we might even, I don't know what we're going to do. I don't want to say anything and then us not do it later, but yeah, so we got the coloring book also, and then there was one other thing. Let's see. I'm always adding to my list, so. Oh man, we got, so the website is kind of a monster. So the website, I have to do, so the blogs and the post updates on social media, but for the website, we have the banners we still got to do, and the different art for the different pages. And then I got to write the content for every single thing. Then what I also want to do is I want to set up a maybe not a newsletter, but something through what do they call it? Like email. It's like an email marketing tool through MailChimp, I think is what I'm going to use. But it's a way for us to get content out to you if you want to follow everything that we're doing. Updates, you know, video updates, like everything. So I got to set that up. So I'm just going to call that MailChimp because I think that's the one I'm going to use. I don't know. We'll see. There's plenty out there to choose from. So is that enough? Is that enough for me to do? Yeah. Going on 12. That's going to be 12 years. So for those of you who are just getting into writing, or who are young and are finding me right now and are just, you know, being an author, because you're still, maybe you're in school, maybe you're in high school, or, you know, junior high or earlier, and, you know, it's possible you just start writing and write every day, and every chance you can, and every time you have a dream that's so vivid or, you know, lifelike, you know, all that stuff, go and write it. You know, okay. So this is one of the other projects I was going to write up there. So aside from Drasca, I know I'm bouncing around, Drasca and Bo, so I have two other books I want to write that are outside of these, you know, the sci-fi, fantasy genre, let's say. So one is a futuristic dystopian, and it's not too far in the distant future, but it's got a little bit of everything involved in it, and technology, and how technology is going to advance. And we're gonna, I don't know if I want to name that one right now, but that book's going to take me a little while to write, but it's actually, I think it's going to go a lot faster than I think. So I'm going to throw it I'll throw it just down here for now. So the Drasca, and we'll start right here for now. No, I might have to write more things up here. All right. Let's throw this up. Throw this up here for a second. Now I'll write it down, and then I'm going to move this back. So I have my family business, small business, my own small business, and so we got other writing projects. I don't know if this is the best place to put it, but I'm going to consolidate all of this, and I'm going to put it into either PowerPoint or Excel. I'm going to do my Excel in terms of waterfall to give me kind of a schedule going forward in the next 2 to 3 years. But to kind of put together the whole, like maybe a checklist box or something, I may do that on PowerPoint. So I have book 1, call it Dystopian. And then book 2, I'm just calling book 1 and book 2, future. And then book 2 is going to be, it's a love story. Yeah, it's a love story. Oh man. Okay. And then, if that wasn't enough, I've got one more. I've got the YouTube channel. So the YouTube channel is I'm gonna spend some time going through my history and my life up till this point, and it will give you maybe, I don't know, a little more depth. We'll get there. We'll get there, YouTube. But in the meantime, this is what I'm focused on doing right now. And the next 6 months to 3 years, 2 years, hopefully I will complete all of this. Now, things will change. This world is constantly changing. But as long as I can make my bills and my family have what they need, not everything they want, but what they need, and my wife supports me because she is awesome and supports me in all of this, I will keep going and I will keep fighting and I will keep running this race that I am in. So, yep, excited for the next update, and I'm gonna do a whole like video where you can see how I build a waterfall chart for the schedule and stuff, and see how it's all gonna work together, and I'll put all that together soon. So that is enough for today. This is Friday, and I am going to. It's 1:30. That's still early. I got another 5 hours to write. See ya.